So we're here with IGEL, Solutions Exchange here at VMworld 2011. I didn't get a chance to make it over to you guys at Synergy, but you guys are here, and you're showing off some stuff.
Yeah.
We're here with Jeff Kalberg, and there's been some changes recently with IGEL, right? This is not the same IGEL that I remember talking to a few years ago.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of changes in IGEL in North America. We actually had the operation in South Florida.
Okay.
And we've moved it up to Cincinnati. We've got a lot more experienced people. We've really beefed up our engineering staff. We've continued to develop great software in our development office in Augsburg, Germany.
Okay.
But we've really taken a focus on really making customers exceedingly happy. I'd say if you would have surveyed all of our customers, you'd find like a 95, 96% satisfaction rating. I mean, they love working with our product.
That's cool. I remember before a lot of people were disappointed they had to call Germany or something to get the support, and now that's
all done here. That's all done here.
So the company's still headquartered in Germany, though. There's just a North America division now that's here, right?
Okay. Now, IGEL's part of a 200-year-old company. Okay, founded in 1806. So,
wow.
So we've been using
since 1806.
Yeah, we used them to navigate the waters around the Cape of Africa when we were trading with the Far East back in those early years.
GPS.
Yeah, GPS, exactly. So anyway, I've just been doing thin clients for almost 20 years now, long before today's thin client. We used to make terminals, but we started building Linux thin clients in the mid-90s. We're actually in our fourth implementation of an IGEL Linux. I call it IGEL Linux because it's more or less our own distribution.
Okay.
We actually go out and take all the source components and build our own kind of Linux designed for use on thin clients.
Gotcha.
As a result, we've been able to do a lot of things that you won't find in any other non-Windows operating system for a thin client. Okay.
You still have things like PC over IP support and stuff like that?
We actually support all four of the major connection brokers. So we support PC over IP. We actually support all of the HDX extensions on our Linux product. We support RDP. We actually, Microsoft had opened up the Remote FX protocol. So we wrote our own Remote FX that runs on Linux. It actually outperforms Remote FX on Windows 7.
Oh wow!
So
yeah, are you showing that here?
We are showing that.
Nice because we're at VMworld.
We weren't allowed to show that here because the VMworld guys said no. But it's very impressive. You can go to YouTube and kind of look it up. There's a couple samples of it running out there.
Okay, cool.
And it's really slick. So Remote FX, we also support Spice. So people are looking at Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization for desktops. We support the current RevD 2.2.
Does that support the virtual bridges implementation of Spice too?
Well, yeah, we include virtual bridges implementation. We actually include both Spice protocols. The open one, which is the one Virtual Bridges uses.
Right,
and then we also support the Red Hat one.
Right. Okay.
So now we're just actually as we talk here now, our developers, although they've gone to bed tonight, they're actually working on getting ready to roll out Spice 8.2, which is what's going to be necessary to hook up to RevD 3 in December of this year. So all four major virtualization platforms, we support all the protocols to go to them. Okay.
So you guys, used to do a lot of custom work, right? Custom thin clients, or am I confusing you with another?
You might be confusing us with another. Okay. We provide customization capabilities.
Okay.
Okay, but our job is to give people a stable operating system for their device.
Okay.
So we have our IGEL Linux that we lock down and keep our own. We've actually set up a whole package management system where you can create a custom partition, and you can create your own packages to install into that custom partition and then map into our operating system.
Okay,
so it's very cool stuff.
And this is like the Wise PC extender and the Devon IT VI Blast, that kind of thing, where you can repurpose?
No, that's a different solution. Now we have something called the Universal Desktop Converter, or our UDC as we call it. Okay, the UDC will take any PC. Well, I wouldn't say any because I have some pretty old PCs.
Sure.
But take most current PCs, current within the last 7-8 years, and you can actually put our software, the same IGEL Linux that runs on our thin clients, can actually run on those PCs.
And those are managed through the same management interface?
They're exactly the same set of software. So the management tools, our approach to management, everything work with those same products.
Gotcha.
We've also designed in that software full support for some of our competitors' thin clients. So people are out there, and if their software stack is not being maintained anymore because their thin clients might be a little bit old, you can actually take our UDC and install it on those products and be running the latest version of VMware View 6
And this is
Firefox 5 and Java 1.6.
This is how I remember IGEL from iForum years ago. It was repurposing IBM thin stations or something like that, right?
Yeah, there's a big long history there. So
yeah, and there was smart card support and stuff like that back then, and it was all very unique 10 years ago.
Prior to my involvement with IGEL, which started in 2002, I had spent the previous 4 or 5 years working with IBM.
Okay.
And I did a lot of work with the IBM network stations and watching that evolve.
It was like a compact flash card or something, right?
Well, yeah, the 2200 and 2800 at the time, they used compact flash.
Yeah.
So when I first met IGEL in January 2002, I said, hey, listen, I couldn't say it before January 9th of that year, but after that announcement, I said, you know, it'd be really cool if you could take your software, and which I knew. I'd always said to anybody who was buying the IBM product, hey, listen, if you guys ever get out of the thin client business, I mean, you're IBM, we know you won't, but if you do, you know, any savvy Linux developers would be able to take their software and run it on your product.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's exactly what IGEL did. Huh. And they actually did accomplish that 6 weeks after IBM made the announcement.
Oh, wow.
And they showcased that at CeBIT that March.
Well, and that was, if I remember correctly, that was a big deal, and that was one of the things that IGEL was kind of known for back then.
Yeah, it was.
And it's crazy, you know, IGEL's still around. Now we've got you've got this management suite. This is pretty, this is what you're showing off here?
Yeah, this is what we're showing. This is the main thing we show off. And so one of the things that we find people want to do is, you know, management of the thin client environment is something that's often neglected. Okay. And what we've done is really we've got 10 years of development on our management tool, and we do things a little differently. Okay. We use what we would call a policy-based approach, where we create profiles. Okay. And just to kind of give you an example of what I might do, what I've got here is in our management tool. I've got a little organization tree here where I've got profiles, thin clients, you know, views and things like that. But when I look at a set of profiles, I can expand this, and I can do things like I go into displays, for example, and under these displays I've got, you know, different kinds of display resolutions. I have 1024 by 768, 1400 by 1050, whatever the case may be. So you can policy
machines based on all sorts of different metrics.
Right. And there's a limit.
Properties.
We can have something like 250,000 profiles for one thin client. So if you need more than that, you're going to have to find another solution.
Okay.
So, but the thing that's really cool about what we do is every configuration element can be a profile. So I'll have like some base system profiles, like I have a master password. That's one setting in there. It's just the password that secures all the devices.
Okay.
So if you're an organization that's got to change every 60 days, you can make this change in here. And that change, making that one change in the 5 seconds it takes to do that, can affect 10,000, 50,000 devices just like that.
So for like firmware, I see on there is firmware is does one version of firmware support all 4 platforms, or is there one version supports one better than the other?
Same firmware on all of our hardware.
Okay, but you could still, you know, I guess in certain situations you can dictate which kind of device gets which version of firmware. Is that what that's in there for?
I could.
Okay.
I could.
But I guess you would need to if they're all the same.
But you know, when it comes to support, I mean, you know, you kind of want it to be the same, even if it has a bug, because it's easier to support.
Yeah, at least as
long as it's not a killer. So we create these. So one of the things I've done is I've created a series of sessions. So I've got like a Firefox browser. I got install Flash Player. I have a LeoStream broker. I've got a shadow session. This is where we actually installed the VNC viewer on our device. Using a customization feature we have with that custom partition I was mentioning earlier.
Oh, okay.
So I got some terminal emulation, I got some videos. So I get this all created. Okay, I can have shadowing sessions, I can have wallpapers. You know, we created a series of wallpapers for these shows just because it's a visual, where I can actually have Chicago, Cincinnati, San Francisco, Las Vegas skylines.
So and these things, these then you can apply to different devices.
Right. So what I do,
however you
absolutely. So I then come down to my thin clients, and then what we'll do is we got VMworld. Okay, and in VMworld I've got different locations. What happens with these devices is, say we got our big screen demo up here, and maybe this right now is in Chicago. We got the Chicago skyline up top.
Okay.
Okay, and then if you watch that there, I'm going to go ahead and drag our big screen from Chicago, and I'm going to move it to Cincinnati. Okay, and as simple as making that move right there, putting it in a different directory.
So we're seeing down here, it changed that. Oh, it just changed it. It didn't have to reboot or anything like that.
It didn't have to do anything. In fact, up in the left-hand corner, okay, we can start to see some of the other things. Say, for example, that I wanted to deploy a Firefox browser to the Cincinnati location. I can actually come here.
I like this Ohio River view, you know, growing up in Ohio.
Did you grow up in Ohio? You did grow up in Ohio. Yeah, you told me that.
I'm a Browns fan, so seeing the Bengals.
That's right. The Browns are going to be really good. You know, believe me, the Browns will be
better than
in the
Bengals.
playoffs before the Bengals will. Okay, so for example, I'll come down here and I'm going to go into our sessions, and I'm going to add a Firefox browser. Now on the big screen, I'm going to go ahead and let this setting take effect now. And what's going to happen here in about 2-3 seconds, I'll have deployed the Firefox browser in the top left up here. All right.
So I would imagine, are there some things that do require the terminal to reboot, that kind of thing?
Yeah,
in these situations it doesn't, but that's
right.
Still.
If you turned on the time,
set the master password or something like that.
Setting the master password wouldn't cause it to reboot.
Oh wow.
Okay. But say turning on shadowing.
Sure.
Okay. Actually, in our current versions, you don't even have to reboot that.
Oh wow.
But if you do change something at the network level, you know, it's going to have to disconnect from the network and reconnect.
That makes sense.
That would be a time when it would reboot, but it really wouldn't reboot. It's simply going to back off, restart the networking, and then come back up.
Cool.
So it's not a full reboot. So we've got all these capabilities. I can move this again. I'll go ahead and move it to Las Vegas. Okay, let the setting take effect now. We're going to do wallpaper. The icons are going to change in the corner again.
This is all pretty cool.
Now, other things that we do in here, Gabe, I mean, we've got full support with Kerberos 5 built in.
Okay.
So if somebody wants to take a device and authenticate against Active Directory or any LDAP environment, we can set our device up to go to that login screen. They log in.
Okay.
Okay. We then pass that through with single sign-on to different sessions in the back end.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. If we do tie that into AD, when this local screensaver kicks in, it uses their AD credentials.
Okay.
Okay. If our device is under management, that master password is set, it is virtually impossible to compromise this device.
Gotcha.
The image and anything that you might store in that and on that custom partition, okay, that we've got in here. Did we talk about the custom partition?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything that's on there is encrypted and compressed.
Right.
So if you were to boot this device with an OPEX CD or some other operating system,
you can't access
you
that
can't
partition.
mount that file system and get to what's in there. The only thing you could do is completely wipe out the flash.
Gotcha.
So what's really useful is that if this thing ever shows up, or stolen or anything, you're sure nothing will ever be able to get into it.
Huh.
So, you know, many things. But the power in this management tool, and there's so much to show.
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
With access control lists and everything else.
So the Universal Desktop Controller, that's or converter? What was that?
The Universal Desktop Converter.
Converter, right. So that's available. That I'm sure you can line up an eval for, that kind of thing.
Yeah, actually.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at is that, you know, this management suite's pretty neat, and I'm thinking, you know, if people want to try this out, even without a thin client, they can still find UDC and then get the management studio and manage it that way, just to get their feet wet a little bit.
Yes, you can. I mean, we have one of the things that we're giving away here to show is these little poker chips, how
Casino
apropos,
chips,
right?
Eh?
And what that is it's just a little reminder. It's a free thin client. So someone can go to www.igel.com/Vegas.
There you go.
And register to download.
Did you get it?
And register to download our Universal Desktop Converter.
Okay.
Download a utility that'll take a USB stick and make it bootable and put our software on there. And then you can go to your device or competing thin client or whatever and boot to the USB stick.
Okay.
And it will convert the device to the same software we looked at here today.
Cool.
With everything, no limitations, all functionality. There'll also be a link to the management tool, which we give people. We never charge for a management tool. We never charge for software updates. People, when we add something new, it's added for everybody, and everybody can take advantage of those things.
Awesome. Well, that's it. I got to run. I can see another appointment on the time here. So thank you so much for spending the time with us.
Yeah, thanks for coming over.
We'll see you around.